Ortiz. So, I mean, and of course, I'm sure you've heard this one, but man, what are some of the takeaways from the Ultimate Fighter experience? I've looked this up too. I verified this. Brendan Schaub is lying to the world. He keeps telling everybody that his season of the UFC, the heavyweights, was the highest rated season. That is not true. Your season was Shamrock and Tito.
That's right.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So, and man, again, that was when I discovered you, became the big fan. That season was everything. That was a big game changer for Spike, for the UFC. What was that experience like? It's crazy to think you were just a kid, like growing up, I don't know. It's just crazy to think that. What was that like, man?
It was quite the experience. You're there for 6 weeks, which doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're away from friends and family, you got no cell phones, no internet, no video games, nothing like that. So you got to you kind of go crazy a little bit. So it was a tough experience, but a good experience. I got kind of screwed being on Shamrock's team because I was a big Tito fan, man. I wanted to be on his team. Plus he had Saul Solis and Dean Lister and all these great coaches,
yes.
And nothing, not to take away from Ken and those guys. They tried their hardest, but there wasn't the best coaching staff or the most experienced. So, I feel like I didn't really get any better there. I didn't learn a whole lot. But I had some fun and, got my out there. And before that, the UFC offered me a contract at 3-3. And I was like, wow.
Really?
And they said, or you can be on the Ultimate Fighter. And so what do you get if you win that? And they said, well, 12-12. And I said, all right, let's do that. I'm going to win that.
Nice.
So, and the experience, obviously, to go out there and get your name out there, get your face out there. The fans get to know you a little bit and get your backstory. And so it was a great experience, you know what I mean? And it got my career jump started. And my career was already rocking and rolling. I was already fighting all over the world, and I was going to get me regardless.
Yeah. Fair. Well, being a kid that wasn't expected to amount to much from the wrong side of the tracks, just kind of go back, when I started, I very well remember my very first fight. It was for Chael Sonnen show, the FCF, and nobody gave a shit about me. And then I won a fight, and like you said, man, there wasn't regular internet, but there was some boards. I think they're like chat boards, and there was 12 people talking about me on the internet, and I was fucking hooked, dude. People knew my name. That was it. So from that first fight on, I was in Team Quest in the gym, at least 3-4 hours a day, training all day, every day. And, fighting literally every month, sometimes twice a month. And those first 2 or 3 years went really quick. I think I was only 2.5, 3 years into my career when that first Tough show started.
Right.
And Randy, had kind of nudged me on the shoulder and said, hey, I want you to record a VHS, and send it into these people. So I sent him in a video, of me talking about some stuff at the gym. And, that was Craig Pelagian, Spike TV, and the original casting crew for Tough One, Wow. So that, that's how it happened. I showed up, and the entire audition process went like this. They said, all right, your first thing you're going to do is you're going to walk in this room. There's a camera in there, and we want you just to sit down in front of the camera and start talking. Well, 21-year-old Chris Lieben thought pretty highly of himself, so I sit down, I start giving him all these reasons why I should be on the show and how badass I am. And about 5 minutes into the interview, the side door of the hotel room opens up, and Dana White and Craig Pelagian come storming in the room, just cracking up laughing. And they're like, that's it, kid, you're on the show.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I'm like, apparently there was multiple days of auditioning. They just left me in my hotel room after that, though, because they had already decided they wanted me on the show.
What a cool story.
Interview.
Yeah, the whole thing from the beginning of the Ultimate Fighter, I think everybody should know it was just a bunch of bullshit. The whole 6-figure deal, that was a scam.
Wow.
I think I think I came in at like shit. It was like 8-8, maybe 8-8, 8,000 to show, 8,000 to win, and the 6 figures was a 9-fight contract. And if you won all 9 fights, you went on a streak, and you won all 9 fights, then it added up to 6 figures. Wow. And then you got your 100,000, right?
Yeah,
100,000 for 9, 100,000 for 9 wins.
So this is the exploiting of athletes coming from wrestling, where you're used to a bracket. Sure. And if you hear this, you're like, hey, I'll gamble that on myself. I believe in myself. That makes some sense. I could do that. You can't do that when they're setting it up.
Well, you're also 21 without a manager, you know.
Yeah, no. And listen to this. Listen to this. Too. All the other fighters that were on the show, we all received the same contract. Mm-hmm. So what were we winning as just a trophy?
So exploitation and building a new fan base and exploiting a guy from New Mexico that doesn't even know what asparagus is, and you think that's usable content? You think showing somebody pee on somebody's bed on their fucking pillow is cool? Like, that's not usable content. Why wasn't you showing more Randy and training? Why weren't you showing more of real stuff, man? Real mentoring. Why weren't you showing real? And this is the point, is they've created this fan base that doesn't care about human beings, because it went from, hey, let me give you a little behind the scenes exposure to these people that are willing to fight. That's what it is. I mean, again, listen to the facts, man. You can only become a professional fighter and skip the chain by becoming a professional athlete. Everything else, you got to go through the protection of being an athlete through grade school, middle school, high school, college, and then you know what to do to protect yourself, and you have a college degree. Right. Hard to do that when you're exploiting the people on the bottom of the barrel that are willing to fight in the beginning of this fabricated sport that's got to jump from state to state to get its approvals, okay? And to allow it to be recorded and then exploited. And again, how come an actor is getting residuals and yet none of these fighters are getting residuals from the replay, yet some asshole on YouTube can cut it up and make money off of his face? But Diego's not making money off his image. I mean, UFC is.
These are
now what I mean?
Yeah, these are the things that are like, and I just want to pause you for a second, because these are the things that are really important to talk about that nobody else is saying, and where I think you have tremendous value. And if other fighters are listening, if they're not listening, they need to listen. But I also want to be fair and objective, so I'm gonna try to frame it a little bit pro UFC too. But I'll say this:
devil's advocate, always welcome.
Yeah,
always welcome. Bring the noise.
I want to say this: you know, a lot of the UFC, especially the Ultimate Fighter season 1 stuff, didn't age well. The peeing on the beds, a young man, asparagus exploiting. You're right, man. You're hitting the nail on the head, and you're right. Now I'm gonna try to be fair and say, me as a viewer at that time, it was funny. I laughed. I was a young man. I didn't get it. I didn't get that stuff. That was okay with me at that time. I think we've all kind of grown up and aged, and it didn't age well. So I want to give them a little break there, but then pause. You're right on. These are the things we need to start talking about. There should be some residuals. There should be some YouTube. There should be some place. We need to change the contracting for fighters. There needs to be more longevity terms and things to make it advantageous for their likeness, so they can exploit that in the future, ongoing. You know, if there's a rerun on digital TV right now, if I want to go see my man go beat up Clay Guida, I want him to make 15 cents. Whatever. I want him to make that. Why would I not want him to make that?
Right. Why not? You know, they could do the same shit with Fight Pass too.
Of course. Yeah, it's a subscription model. Why aren't the fighters in some way? I mean, these are things we should talk about. And
there's nothing make you wrong. And the fighters have been getting fucked forever, man. Everybody knows that. All